Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Devar Bible translation, where in this video I want to give another example why this translation is superior to all others, where we're going to consider 2 Timothy 2:15. Where let's first note that the word translated diligent, be diligent, is from the verb spoudazo, G4704, which the King James has translated study here. And if you go and you click on the Strong's reference here, you see that in the definition, there's nothing that's said about studying, because actually this verse has nothing to do with studying the Word of God. It's about being diligent to something, where you see how the King James has translated the 11 occurrences, where they actually have translated it diligence. Here, endeavor. But for some reason, they translated it study in this one occurrence, changing the meaning of the word. Why do they do this? This is, again, very misleading. So already they negate the concept of the diligence here towards giving yourself as standby, which brings us to this next word from G3936, which is paristemi. Paristemi, which they've translated to shew. Where again, if you click on the word, it's a compound from the preposition para, which governs that which is by or beside something. From or at, by, beside. And then the stem of the word is from histemi, which means to stand, to take stand. Hence, stand by, stand beside. Which again, they've translated shew here now. So study is wrong, shew is wrong. Now, let's talk about ashamed here. That needeth not to be ashamed, from anipaischuntos. One word, that needeth not to be ashamed, where if you click on the word, you see again, these Greek words contain compounds of prepositional elements. So epi, which it tells you right here, from epi, governs that which is on or upon of a superposition of unashamed. Okay, it tells you right here in the definition, where you see the Devar simply translated it unashamed on, showing us that there is the preposition built into the word governing the superposition of unashamed, now, which involves correctly cutting. Not rightly dividing. It's correctly cut. Which brings us now to this word here, cut. G3718, from the verb orthotomeo. And again, Greek words are contained within word families, which the verb diachtomeo is in the same family. And again, you look at the definition, to cut, not divide, cut into two parts, where the King James translates the two occurrences, cut, sunder. But the die here, is from the word dis, the adverb, which is two. See it twice, two. Hence, cut into, which the context of correctly cutting the word of truth points to this right here in Luke chapter 12, verse 48. But the point being is that the verb diachtomeo here, to cut things, is in the word family containing other words in relationship to cutting, to be diligent to give yourself as standby, approved of God, as unashamed on-worker, correctly cutting the word of truth, so that when the cut in two happens, you are not shamed, but approved as unashamed. For the Lord of that slave will arrive in a day which he does not hope for, and in an hour which he does not know, and in regards to him will cut in two, and will set his part with the unfaithing. Hence, shame. Who are not diligent, making haste, not studying, to give yourself standby, approved to God as unashamed on-worker, correctly cutting the word of truth. We're not studying to show anything. We are diligent to give standby to something. This verse misleads people to think that it's about studying the Word of God when it's not. The context here concerning the standby is the same context of 2 Corinthians 11:2. For I jointly bound you to one man, the bridegroom, to give as pure virgin, parable of the virgins, standby to Christ. So the unashamed on-worker who does this, gives the standby, enters the wedding feast at midnight, which is the context of the cut in two parts. When the bridegroom is nearing, those prepared with the oil into midnight, the middle, is the context. When the door is shut, and then the foolish are locked out, are the shamed. So this is the cut in two. We have the watch times of the night enumerated in Mark 13:35 and Luke 12:38, which the second watch time concludes at midnight, where the cut in two divides the first two halves, which is the upheading of the all, Ephesians 1:9 and 10, where the third watch time is the shame that brings in the blissful are those of the third watch time here, where there is no blissful for the fourth watch time, who are the cursed of Matthew 25:40. So this is how we correctly cut the word of truth in understanding how to connect the dots to the parables of Jesus, the parable of the wedding feasts, where actually in Luke 12:38, with the watch times mentioned here, is also mentioned the wedding feasts in verse 36. So we see the relationship of wedding feasts, watch times, which the cut in two is the giving standby as correctly cutting the word of truth as unashamed on-worker, where we're not locked out of the wedding into the time of the great affliction, great tribulation, which is the third watch time. This is the context of 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. Think about it.